What happens to your brain, body, and relationships when you masturbate every day? The truth no one tells you. Shocking fact. Did you know that over 70% of men under 30 masturbate at least 4 times a week? But what happens when you do it daily or even more? Is there a safe number of times to masturbate? Or could you be unknowingly hurting your brain, body, and relationships? Keep watching. This might change how you think about your habits forever. But before we dive deep, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who might need to hear this, subscribe to our channel, and comment below. How often do you think is too much when it comes to masturbation? Body. When pleasure becomes a prison. The real consequences of daily masturbation. Imagine this. A man wakes up, scrolls through his phone, and within minutes, he's watching porn and masturbating. By noon, he's done it again, maybe even while at work. Before bed, one more round just to relax. This is not a rare story. In fact, it's becoming a silent routine for millions of men, especially in the digital age, where porn is free, instant, and infinite. But what is this habit really doing to the brain? Neuroscientists warn that daily masturbation, especially when paired with pornography, can hijack the brain's reward system. Dr. Norman Doidge, author of The Brain That Changes Itself, explains that our brains are incredibly plastic. They rewire themselves based on repetition. The problem? Masturbation to porn creates an unnatural flood of dopamine, training your brain to expect instant pleasure with zero effort. Over time, this can dull your sensitivity to real-life rewards, like a meaningful conversation, a physical relationship, or personal achievements. Clinical psychologist Dr. Paula Hall, who specializes in sex addiction, emphasizes that it's not the act itself, but the compulsive cycle that becomes damaging. When someone masturbates daily out of boredom, anxiety, or loneliness, she says, they're not addressing the root emotional issue. They're just numbing it. That's when masturbation becomes a psychological crutch rather than a choice. And when the brain is repeatedly rewarded without genuine emotional connection, intimacy suffers. We've seen countless cases where individuals report feeling disconnected from their partners, emotionally flat, or sexually unresponsive in real-life situations. Real-world case, consider Josh, a 27-year-old software developer from California. He started watching porn and masturbating in high school, but what began as occasional stress relief turned into a daily, sometimes hourly, compulsion. I felt powerful for a few minutes, then ashamed for the rest of the day, he admits. Josh eventually lost interest in dating and developed severe social anxiety. He wasn't alone. Reddit forums, online recovery communities like nofap, and support groups are filled with stories just like his. Men losing their motivation, focus, and emotional energy due to a habit they once thought was harmless. But how do we define too much? While there's no universal number, most experts agree, if masturbation starts interfering with your daily responsibilities, relationships, mental clarity, or physical health, it's a red flag. Dr. Patrick Carnes, a pioneer in sex addiction therapy, describes compulsive sexual behavior as a cycle: preoccupation, ritual, acting out, and shame. This cycle mirrors what's observed in substance abuse, and it's not just psychological. Chronic overstimulation of the reward pathways can desensitize dopamine receptors, a phenomenon seen in both drug users and habitual porn consumers. According to a 2016 study published in JAMA Psychiatry, men who consume more pornography had less gray matter in regions linked to reward motivation and showed reduced activity in response to sexual images. Translation? The more you masturbate to artificial stimulation, the harder it becomes to feel aroused in real-world encounters. Let's also address the emotional side. Some men report feeling empty after climax, especially when there's no intimacy involved. This post-nut clarity isn't just a meme, it's rooted in neurochemical changes. Oxytocin and prolactin surge after ejaculation, often producing a crash that leaves users feeling isolated or even depressed. And when this becomes a daily pattern, those dips in mood can start to snowball into chronic emotional fatigue. But here's a critical nuance. Not all daily masturbation is inherently harmful. The intent matters. If you're consciously exploring your body, relieving tension in a healthy way, and not relying on porn or fantasy to do it, the risks are significantly lower. The problem is, that's not how most people are doing it. The act has become impulsive, driven by algorithms and endless novelty. And there's another layer: performance anxiety. Men who excessively masturbate to highly stimulating content may develop unrealistic expectations of sex. When faced with real-life intimacy, they might struggle with arousal, premature ejaculation, or even erectile dysfunction, not because of a physical issue, but because their brain has been rewired to respond only to digital stimulation. This condition is now so common that it's been labeled porn-induced erectile dysfunction, or PIDE. In summary, daily masturbation, especially when mindless, compulsive, and tied to porn, can become a silent saboteur of mental health, emotional balance, and sexual well-being. It's a habit that often starts with curiosity or stress relief, but can spiral into something far more damaging if left unchecked. But we're not here to shame anyone. This conversation isn't about guilt, it's about awareness. Because when you understand what's happening in your brain, you can begin to take control back. The real enemy isn't masturbation, it's unconscious behavior and emotional avoidance. And the good news? With the right mindset, information, and support, change is absolutely possible. Week 1. The brain gets hooked. In the first week of daily masturbation, particularly with porn, the brain experiences a dopamine spike, the neurotransmitter responsible for pleasure and reward. Scientific insight? Studies from Cambridge University reveal that the brain reacts to porn much like it does to cocaine or heroin. Every climax delivers a rush of dopamine, reinforcing the behavior. Over time, this creates a reward loop. More stimulation is required to achieve the same pleasure. Real-life example. One man reported needing longer and more extreme videos just to feel excited by the end of the week. What started as a harmless habit became a chase for novelty. Personal insight. Dopamine is not unlimited. When we spend it recklessly on instant pleasure, we pay for it later with motivation fatigue, mood crashes, and irritability. Week 2. Emotional numbness and social withdrawal. After 2 weeks of daily self-stimulation, many users report a subtle but disturbing shift: emotional flatness. You may find less joy in everyday experiences, music, food, social interaction, even your romantic partner. Why this happens? Your brain is becoming desensitized to pleasure. It starts needing more dopamine to feel the same joy. Natural rewards lose their glow. Real-world example. A 26-year-old software engineer confessed that after 2 weeks of binging, he started avoiding dates, skipping hangouts with friends, and choosing screen-based pleasure over human connection. Expert opinion, Dr. Anna Lemke, a Stanford addiction psychiatrist, calls this the dopamine deficit state. When your baseline is overloaded pleasure, everything else feels boring, even life itself. Week 3. Productivity, collapse, and relationship damage. Week 3 is when the real-life consequences start kicking in. You may begin skipping workouts, arriving late to work, procrastinating more, and noticing decreased energy. Warning signs: morning fatigue even with 8 hours of sleep, low motivation to pursue goals, less emotional connection with your partner, guilt and shame after each session. True story: a man shared in a support forum that daily masturbation made him less interested in real sex, causing friction in his marriage. His wife felt rejected. "I was choosing pixels over a person," he said. Scientific proof. A 2016 study in JAMA Psychiatry found that frequent porn use was associated with reduced gray matter in parts of the brain responsible for motivation and reward. Week 4. Plus, when it becomes a problem. After 4 weeks, many people don't even realize they're dependent. The habit blends into daily life. But here are the red flags, signs you're crossing into compulsion. You feel anxious or irritable if you don't do it. You use it to escape stress, loneliness, or boredom. You promise to stop, but can't. You need more extreme material to feel aroused. It interferes with your sex life, work, or relationships. Clinical insight: The DSM-5 doesn't formally recognize porn or masturbation addiction, but the patterns mimic classic behavioral addictions, like gambling or gaming. Personal reflection. It's not about whether masturbation is bad. It's about what it's replacing. Is it a stress release tool, a substitute for connection, or a way to avoid discomfort? Before we summarize this crucial topic, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more myth-busting, science-backed sexual health tips, and comment below. What's one thing you've learned today that surprised you? So, how often should you masturbate? Here's the truth. There's no universal number. Some people masturbate once a day and lead productive, connected lives. Others feel addicted after twice a week. The only rule is this: if masturbation doesn't interfere with your emotional, social, sexual, or professional life, then it's likely fine. But the second it starts replacing real life, you need to pause and reflect. Healthy masturbation. Checklist. Are you doing it mindfully, not automatically? Are you still excited by real intimacy? Can you go a few days without feeling anxious or off? Do you feel energized and focused afterward, or drained? Final thoughts. Reclaiming control and finding balance. We live in a world of unlimited stimulation, but limited emotional tools. Masturbation itself is not the villain. Mindless repetition is. If you've been using it to avoid, escape, or numb out, it's time to take back control. What you can do: try a 7-day reset to evaluate how you feel. Use that time to journal or meditate when urges come. Focus on real relationships and emotional growth. Personal challenge. Go 1 week without it and track your energy, focus, and mood. You might be shocked by what changes. If you made it this far, you're serious about bettering yourself. Like, share, and subscribe to support this channel and help us spread facts, not shame. Comment below. What's one habit you want to build instead of compulsive masturbation? Summary of key points. Week 1. Dopamine surges, but start setting up a dependence loop. Week 2. Emotional numbness and detachment from real pleasures begin. Week 3. Productivity, sleep, and relationships suffer. Week 4 plus. Risk of compulsive behavior rises. Bottom line, masturbate mindfully. Stop when it starts stealing your joy, time, or connection. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video in our series. What happens to your testosterone when you stop watching porn for 30 days? Until next time, choose growth over gratification.